If you're a little bit confused about what you really need when you do a fret level and a polish, well, today's video is for you. I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly what I use on a regular basis when I do a fret level and polish on my guitars. Stay tuned. I want to give a big shout out to all my subscribers. You guys are awesome and the channel is growing so quickly that it's wonderful. I love to see the numbers go up and up. If you haven't already subscribed to Addicted to Gear, do yourself a favor before we jump into today's topic. Hit the little subscribe button and the little bell icon because we have so much cool stuff that we talk about on the channel. I would hate for you to miss any of it. Now, today's topic is the essential tools and elements that I like to use when I tackle a fret level and a polish on my guitar. The reason I'm talking about this today is because I did a video just recently on a couple of new products that I found that makes the whole process a little bit easier and quicker. And since I posted that video, I got a tremendous amount of comments and feedback. And a lot of you were asking specifically, what do I need? What are the bare essentials that I need to do a fret level and a polish? And today I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you exactly, without any Hollywood razzle dazzle. We're going to jump to my messy workbench and I'm going to show you what is on my workbench as I was working on a project neck that I'm using for a new guitar build. So I'm going to show you all of the elements that I've been using for years and years, and they work for me. Now, before we jump in, I just want to make one thing very clear. This is not the golden rule, guys. There's a lot of different ways you can do this, and I'm not saying this is the best way. I'm sure many of you out there have different ways of doing it, and if it works for you and you get the results that you want and need at the end of the day, then it's great. This is the method I've been using for years, and I'm very satisfied with the end results that I get. And most importantly, the items I'm going to show you today and the method I use is not very expensive. So let's jump right into it. Let's go over to my messy workbench and take a look. This is a neck I'm working on currently, and you know, the whole point of today's video is to share with you a few key components in terms of tools that I find indispensable when working on necks like this. There's a lot of ways you can do work on necks, leveling, crowning, polishing, all of that great stuff. But I found over time that there's a couple of elements that I really can't do without. And I want to share those with you in case you're considering doing the same. So as you can see here, this is a fret polish and level in action. I've already leveled the frets and polished them. So I left everything that I normally use for that process right over here. So I can show you, you know, WYSIWYG, what I go about using when I do this kind of thing. So the first thing that I find indispensable is, you know, tape. You have to tape up your neck to be able to protect your fretboard because things get messy. And yes, you can use fret protectors, those little ones, but if you want to do things quickly, you do need tape. So the first thing I would recommend you get is a series of masking tapes. Different width masking tapes work best. So, you know, you can do everything from very thin. I usually go even thinner than this when I can find it. But, you know, starting with at least this, and you have, you know, the big one for bigger jobs if you want to mask the entire back of the neck or the headstock or whatever you need to do. So masking tapes is a must. So get yourself some decent masking tape. You don't want to get tape that comes off easy, but you want it to be easy enough to remove so you're not removing the finish on your neck. That's number one. Number two, something that is often overlooked is this tool right here. And this tool I've had for ages. You can get them from various places. StuMax sells these. I got this from another website. It's called Neck Check. You can get this on pretty much anywhere, eBay, Amazon, and other sources. And basically what this is a fret rocker. If you've done any kind of fret polishing or fret leveling, you know how this works. Basically, you take it and you put it onto your neck, onto your frets, and you rock it back and forth to make sure that you don't feel any rock, right? There shouldn't be anything, you shouldn't be able to rock it back and forth. If you can, then it identifies a high fret, which you would then mark off with a Sharpie. Sharpies are your best friends when you're doing this type of thing, because you want to be able to mark off all of the frets when you're about to do a fret level, so that you know where the low and high spots are. Now, the other tool that I find indispensable as well, well worth the money, is one of these things here. This is just a straight edge basically, and I like this one because it allows you to do both the Strat style fret spacing as well as the Gibson style fret spacing on the other side. So basically what you want to do there, and it's indicated here, so you have 24 3/4 or 25 1/2, depending on what you're doing. So you would take this, put it on your neck before you start, making sure that the neck is perfectly straight, and then you can go ahead and start doing your leveling. So this is a great tool. I highly recommend you buy. It's not very expensive, and it does make things a whole lot easier. The other thing that I think you should also get along with the tape, and I'll explain why in a second, is this. This is some 3M two-sided tape, and I'll explain how I use this in just a second. These are radius blocks, and you can get these from StewMac. You can get them from other sources as well. You don't have to buy them from StewMac, and these are great. They all have different radiuses marked on the back here. So this is 9.5, and this is 12, and you have a whole bunch of different ones that you can buy, 16 and so on and so forth. These are great, and what I normally use them for is this. I usually start off by taking these tools here, which are radius gauges, and there's a whole bunch. They start from 7 1/4 all the way to, I don't know, 16 or something like that. And so what you do with these is you select the appropriate gauge for your neck. You can just put this down, and you can see that this is a 12-inch radius, okay? So by identifying the radius of your neck, you can then take the appropriate block, in this case, the 12-inch block. You can put on some sandpaper here with some two-sided tape, and then you could proceed, once everything's marked up with the Sharpie, and I'm not going to do this now because I just polished my frets, but you'll see what I mean. You can just then go ahead and sand up the entire length of the neck with the radius block, and it's beautiful because you're not going to get, straight cuts. It's going to be rounded just like the frets, and that is going to give you the best results in terms of keeping the frets, the fret radius, the way they should be. You can use, a straight file, and I do have some of those as well, but I use those sparingly. I prefer to go with the block and sandpaper because you can go a little bit more gentle on that. If you prefer to go with the files, I recommend this particular model from Stuart McDonald. This is a great little tool. It comes with removable files that you can insert there. They're being held in place with a magnet, and you can choose different types of files. They come with a variety of different teeth on them, more aggressive, less aggressive, and diamond. And basically this one will pop off, and you can put in any of these in its place. So these work well too. I like the fact that they're weighted, so you don't have to press down. You can just use the weight of the tool on your fretboard, and it works really well. But you have to be careful because, it is aggressive. You can definitely take off more than you should with that very quickly if you're not careful. So once the frets have been leveled, then of course we're at the stage where we have to recrown everything. And so I like to use this tool that I got from I think it's eBay. And basically what it is this guy. So this is a diamond file. As you can see here, it's got a groove in it and it goes all the way around. And it's really nice because it's got the rounded side and the flat side. And you can definitely use these on both, you know, the flat side or the rounded side to be able to put the crown back in once you've filed everything down. And it does a really great job. It doesn't create a lot of chatter, and it's easy to send out the results once you're done with this. Great little tool here, not that expensive either. So once you're done with that tool and you've put the round back in, then it's time to polish your frets. So I like to use a nice sanding block here. This is kind of like a foam sanding block. It's very dense, nice and thick. You can use this. You can wrap sandpaper around this to be able to then buff up. I usually start off with 600 for the rough. Then I do 8, I do 1,000, I do 1,200, 15, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, all the way up to 8,000 if I have the patience to do that. I just reviewed a really cool, nifty tool here from Fretilizer. I did a whole video on these products, and you just wrap a little bit of sandpaper around here, and then you can use the tool. You can see this one has already been used. You can see that you have some remnants of the metal shavings here. You can use this tool. It's got a rounded edge, and you can just put it over the fret like this, and really does a really nice job of using the sandpaper to buff everything back up again to full shine. So I highly recommend this tool. It makes it a lot easier, and it doesn't give you a lot of wear and tear on your fingers as well. So if you can grab one of those, that's really great. Then what I like to do after that, and when I'm done with the actual sandpaper and I've buffed up to a certain point, then I use this product right here. This stuff here, it looks kind of like, I guess, putty or something like that, but it's not. It's actually this right here. It's called Peak. And basically, it's designed to clean and polish anything that's made of metal, any type of metal. And it does a fantastic job. Now, it's not that inexpensive, but a jar like this is going to last you years and years. And the beauty, it doesn't dry out. It does a great job. You just have to put a little bit on a rag and then go to town on your frets till you get the polish that you like. You can also put on a little small buffer wheel and do the same with that, but you have to be careful because it does fly around. For the longest time, I used Jeweler's Rouge, which is basically a thick paste. Basically comes like in a bar format, and you can use that as well. That works really well, but it does dry out over time. So I started to use this, and I like this a lot. Before that, I used to use this, which is Never Dull, and this is really cool. It's basically a wadding with some chemical on it that it also will be able to put polish, put the spit shine on your frets. And I've had this for years. I probably had this particular jar for like 10 years or so. It does dry out over time, but it does a fantastic job as well. But I think I like the Peak slightly more at this stage. So Never Dull is just basically a bunch of wadding. You can just take out a little piece of it like this. And then you can just take that and go to town on your frets just by polishing them like this. And at first it might seem a little bit dull because it's wet, but then following that up with some paper towels, it really does bring the shine back in. You can see the dirt that comes off the frets, it really does a nice job. And I like this better than using steel wool because steel wool tends to get everywhere. There you go. So if you're curious about what I'm doing with this particular neck, I'm actually going to use this and build a Jimmy Page Zoso tribute guitar, which is going to be basically his Dragon guitar, but not exactly a one-for-one copy, just my take on giving this guitar the flavor of that particular model without being a direct copy. And I think it's going to turn out quite nice. This is not necessarily a full-fledged Telecaster neck. I took this off another guitar. You can see the profile here is not a Telecaster profile. It's kind of more modern. But this did have a veneer on it, which was a vinyl veneer. I removed that, and I'm in the process of sanding everything down. I will refinish that, and I will apply a custom-made decal on it, and this will be part of that build. So that'll be coming up on my channel eventually as well, if you're interested in seeing that. So I really hope today's video clarified some of the questions you guys had for me. I hope that it was easy enough to follow and understand. And I just wanted to make it really clear that you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money to be able to get a good end result. Really, a good end result is a question of time and patience and not skipping any of the essential steps. Once you understand the steps involved, I think it's much more critical to be able to understand the steps and follow them sequentially and not jump any of those steps, because that's usually where you run into problems and you don't get the end results that you need. So if you still have some questions or comments after today's video, please leave them down below. I'm always happy to hear the feedback that you have. Your tips and your comments are always awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe. I'll be back with more.